And I suppose third, let me introduce you to Susan. Susan Carson is both a performing musician and exhibiting visual artist. She's a resident of the member of the both the performing musician and I'm sorry, I'm screwing this all up. Sorry, Susan. She's a resident member of the Loft Artists Association in Stamford. She mainly creates acrylic paintings and ink drawings, focusing on portraits and figures, some realistic, some abstract. She also keeps very busy with commissioned works of musicians, athletes, families, and pets. Her Facebook, Instagram, and websites are at carsonmusic.com, which I am going to send to everyone at the end of this. And in this short beginning of portrait drawing class, we're going to learn how to sketch a portrait, beginning with how to map the proportions of the human head and placement of the features. We'll then move to identifying basic shapes and shadings to work toward capturing the likeness. So with that, Susan, take it away.
Very good. I think you've done very well, and you should just take over now.
Yeah, thanks, Susan.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that everybody has a pencil and a piece of paper to work with and a copy of the photo. If not, just do your best to follow along. The first thing we want to do is kind of loosen up a little bit here, and we're going to try to make a circle. A lot of people start out trying to draw a face, and they think that the face is the circle or an oval, but really it's from the nose to the top of the head that we're focusing on to start. So we're just going to draw a perfect circle, and the way to do that is not to try and use your hand or your fingers like this. You want to try and loosen up and use your elbow to move, and just keep your hand kind of still and kind of try to use really light strokes in the beginning, as light as possible, and then we'll go back over the strokes that we like and make them darker as we go along. But keep everything really light in the beginning because it really saves you a lot of erasing effort. So we're going to just start out with just trying to make a circle. Leave yourself some room on the bottom so you can fill in like the mouth and chin and all of that. But we're just going to make a circle. And by going over it a little bit to get it right, like just keep going over it until you find the lines that you like. So I'm still really light here. Now I'm going to be drawing a little bit harder than probably the rest of you because I want you to be able to see the marks I'm making. So you're going to see all my and all my good ones. So I've got like a little circle forming here. So it's not perfect and it's not just one line. It's just, actually, I'm pretty proud of that circle. So here's our circle. So the next step is we're going to divide the circle from top to bottom as best we can right in the middle. So I'm going to just eyeball this here. And I'm going to say this is the middle, it looks like. And I'm just going to draw again with a stiff hand, just moving my arm straight across. I'm going to go right across here. Can everybody see that? If you can't, speak up. Okay. So now looking at the photo here, his gaze is a little bit off to our right, but he's not really turned. So you can see if you look at the photo and if you drew a straight line down the middle, his nose is actually off to the right a little bit. So we're going to look for the center to be maybe just right of the center. So if here's our center, we're going to go over just a little bit so that it's not really turned, but like I wouldn't say 3/4, but just a little bit. So we're going to draw a line right down the middle there. And again, all we're doing is mapping out like the general structure here. I kind of drew this portrait the other day a couple of times, and it was taking me a couple of hours to get it to look good. But in 45 minutes, we'll get a really good start, and you'll be able to kind of see what you're doing. But it won't be like sellable, really. So your picture should kind of look like this right now. A circle with a line across the middle and a line slightly off center. Okay, now comes the fun part. Now, if you want to practice somewhere else on your page, drawing an ellipse, like that, sort of a flattened circle, we're going to make an ellipse here. And what we want to do is we're going to use this circle as one side, and then we're going to make the other side like this. And we want it to be about the same size. We want it to be the same size on the top and the bottom of that center line. So you might have to go over that a couple of times to get it just right. So there is what mine looks like. I hope you can see that. So we've got the circle, we've got the vertical line, and then we've got this ellipse over here. Now the next thing we're going to do is draw a line down the middle of that. Okay, so now you have a little cross here. And right here in the center, we're going to draw a 45-degree angle between this line and this line. This is a right angle here. I'm going to go 45 degrees out from that. So about like that. And then we're going to go up to the top here and just kind of shoot across like that. That's going to be our hairline. So from the center of that cross up. And again, all these lines you should be keeping fairly light because these are general place markings for the face. And as you start filling it in, you'll start to notice everybody's face is just a little bit different. Like some people's eyes are bigger or nose is bigger or their hair goes up a little higher or whatever. So we'll start adjusting those as we go. Okay, so there we are so far. Now what we're going to do is we're going to measure I use the top of my pencil because it's a little easier to see than the point. I'm going to go from the top of the pencil and put it on that hairline that I've made. And we're going to measure down to the center line. And then I'm going to take that measurement and go down with it, still along that center line. And I'm going to mark that as the point. And I'm going to check that measurement again. So from the top of my pencil to the center line, looks like I made it. Redo that. Erase that little one there. What this is going to be the very bottom of your nose. So here to here. There we go. There's the bottom of the nose. Now we're going to go down one more time, the same distance. And that is going to be the bottom of the chin. Let me know if you can't see anything or if you have any questions. Okay. Now, back to your ellipse here, your oval, we're going to go to the bottom of that and we're going to draw down past the bottom of the circle and go over to just before that mark that you made for the chin. Just loosely, just kind of gives you a place marker. And then you could even continue that down like a neck. And then on the other side, we're going to, on the right side of this circle at the center line, we're going to draw straight down and try to meet that chin mark. Okay. Now I'm going to clean up some of these extra marks I have in here. When I was making my circle, it got a little sloppy. Okay. All right. So now the next thing that we're going to talk about is the main part of trying to get a likeness on somebody or like really make it look like a person is really here. Like a lot of mouths can kind of all look the same or whatever, but it's here that you really can recognize people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on getting this angle here. It's kind of the bridge of your nose is here. So we're going to just about eye width. We're going to, it looks like in proportion, it's about this wide here. I mean, it's rough at this point. We're just going to draw an angle and an angle to make a little triangle there. And then these parts here where this touches are going to be where your eyebrows meet there. So we're going to make the eyebrow above this line. So just kind of loosely, really lightly, faintly sketching this in. Now his head is not going to go all the way to the edge here. We're going to cut it off. If you can see, his face isn't like all super round there. We're going to cut here. And looking at his brow bone, or his eyebrow there, it kind of curves like that. We'll worry about the bottom here in a minute. I'm going to go over to the other one. And it looks like it angles up. And then we're going to drop this off the edge. He's got a little turn there. Most of doing art is really just about learning to just really look at what you see, not what you know. Like we know his eyebrows go across the top of his eyes, but we're just kind of looking at these little shapes and angles here. So it looks like it escalates up and then it drops off the edge, curves in a little bit on both sides. Now here, can start filling this in. And this little corner in here, it extends down that line a little bit. So it's a good rough start. So now we're going to try and map out the nose here. The nose is going to go to the bottom of this line here. And if you look at the nose, it sort of has a ball on the end. And everybody's nose more or less does that. So we're going to draw a ball here. Now the ball that I just drew looks really small. So I'm going to try to get it around the same height as what I think the eyes should be. I'm going to make it a little bigger here. And as you can see, like my circle is really sloppy because I just keep going over it until I get the lines that I want. So you can do the same. Okay. So then there's going to be a little, not at the bottom, but like curve up and then go out for a little nostril. And we're going to do, we're going to block these guys in like a little box. And then we're going to take this side of the nostril here and curve it under. Is anybody not doing well so far? I don't know if I'm going too fast for you or not, or if I'm going too slow. Okay, I'll assume it's all good. Okay. So now we're going to go bring this in from the where that nostril area and the circle meet. We'll go up to this triangle. Then I'm going to go from the outside here to the middle of that, or to where that eyebrow meets. Just draw like a real light line there. Now at the bottom of the nose, where we have that little line, everybody has this little indentation here. That kind of lets you know where the top of the lip is going to meet. So what we need to do is figure out how far down that's going to go. So we're going to divide this area, this bottom section here, between the nose and the bottom of the chin. I'm going to divide that in 3. So, and that's kind of hard to do, really. I'm going to eyeball it here. I'm going to say maybe like this. I'm going to take a measurement there, there, there. Just keep playing with it, your fingers here until you can think you can get like three equal sections. Usually it's going to be from the bottom of the nose to the circle, and then that same distance down, and then to the chin. So I think we're good there. So that should be in 3. 1, 2, and 3. This one's a little. I just made this, this, and this. And now this center one, we're going to divide that in 2. Okay. So now I'm going to draw that little indentation. And then there's your top of your lip there. And then opposite right here. Opposite, like semicircle or whatever this is, this little curve here, and then there's a curve the other way here. So you can see that's the chin. Now, I'm feeling like this chin looks a little short for him, but I'm going to kind of just lighten it and see how it goes. Okay. So now for the lips. The lips divide on the bottom, and they divide on the top. So we're just going to draw a straight line there. And then the bottom is going to be like a bow. That's going to look at where we made the top of the nostril area here and go out just slightly. Not really a 45 angle, I guess. I don't know what that is, maybe 30. I don't know. So here we've got this like little funky shape here. We'll adjust it as we go, but that gives you a general idea. And then this, the top lip, we'll extend this way to just real rough for now. And then fill in the bottom. Then go to the bottom of this curve. There we go. Curves a little bit. I feel like I made this too angular, so I'm going to just kind of adjust it, fill that in a little bit, soften it, soften those curves. Okay. Now looking at his particular face, I'm going to drop down just a little bit. He has a longer face. Okay. So now we're going to work a little bit on the eyes. Okay, so if you look here at the nostril edge, and you draw straight up, that's going to be this little center piece right there in your eye, your tear duct. So I'm going to just go straight up and say, there's my tear duct place. There we go. And where this triangle meets that we drew originally. We're going to take that across, and that's going to be like the top of the tear duct. So draw that straight across. So you have those two markers there. Now, I'm going to just draw this over here. A lot of people will want to draw eyeballs like an almond, and that can really look unnatural. Very few people really have that kind of an eye. It's really more like you have a tear duct here, and then it goes like an angle, an angle, and an angle, like up and then flat, and then a line down, and then it's a short line here, and then a line straight from there. And then there's all kinds of stuff going around it. So we're going to try to make some room for all of that. Looking at the distance between his eyebrow and where the top of his eyes are, we want to leave some space. So I'm going to do that short little, or that longer line and a short flat. And then there we go. Short, actually long, and then short. Okay. And go. Is everybody doing okay? No questions. Okay. All right. So now we're going to start building in. We're going to start building in some of this, these shapes in here. Now I'm going to go below this line, get this eyelid, and I'm going to curve that nicely down. Now on this other eye, you can see the way he's looking. You can see his eyelid a lot on our right side. It just sort of all goes to a point here in the middle of the space. So I'm just going to draw it that way. And looking at how his eye is shaped here in the middle of his face, toward the tear duct, it sort of shoots down a little bit. So I'm going to try to emphasize that a little bit.
I don't know if you can hear, but I'm in a class.
Oh.
So basically, this week we have like a
Can you mute your
back
mic?
to the community
Oh,
week.
mute yourself.
So we have some classes we can attend. So I'm in an art class because like my team wanted to attend.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is, okay, we have like the eyes basically in here. Now there's like a little, I don't know if you can see, but like on a person, like there's that eyelid and then the eyelashes come out of it on the bottom. And it, at least if you're not like 3 years old or whatever, you have like a little bit of a kind of a fold there. So we don't want to emphasize it too much, but we do want to get the sense there that there's actually flesh going on there. So I'm going to just drop in some of these lines. It doesn't go all the way across. It just like a little line there. And then on the other side, you can see he's got that line, and then it kind of curves up almost like there's like it's a pocket holding his eyeball. So there's that.
I would think it's like kind of I would think it's like a little bit of a lip, like a
Yeah.
LIP. Yeah, that's makes it.
Yes. So there's that little lip there. And in the picture that we're drawing, that whole section over there is very dark. And it looks like I need to bring his eyebrow down a little bit here more. And we're gonna just sort of lightly shade that whole area. Even all the way down into that lip area. So now I'm to the point where like just really lightly, and you might even want to use like the side of your pencil like this. We're going to just start blocking in some general dark shadows and shapes. Like look at the picture here. We have like a dark shadow on this side of the eyebrow and into the forehead. So I'm just going to lightly drop that block in. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just letting us know that that's where there's a shadow. And then from his eyebrow down to like what would be the center of the ear, which we haven't really drawn. I guess it would be toward the top of the ball of the nose. There's like a little bit of an angle there. So we're going to go over here and do a shadow there. And then from the top of that ball on the nose, straight down toward the mouth, there's a shadow there. I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing there. And then we have like another shadow that just kind of goes along the side of the face. All the way down to the chin. And then you can start filling in. Let's get some ear in there. Now the ear is going to go from the eye, side of the eye, out, and it's going to just curve right along that ellipsis, a little bit on the outside of it. And I keep calling it an ellipsis. I guess it's an ellipse. An ellipsis is the 3 dots. So we're going to get the ear. The ears are kind of confusing, but they're all basically the same. It's got a little angle in there. We got some shadow. We got another line here, curve, and there's some shadow there. There's a little line in there. And then he's got some hair coming off of here. And you can spend time, however time you want, with getting the hair. You know, you can scribble it in or point it in, however you like. But I'm just trying to get the general shape in right now and get some darks and lights locked in. His hairline, he's got a little cut in here. So that goes like that. Okay. All right. No, it's not like great finished product kind of look, but it's like at least get some eyeballs in here so it doesn't look so weird. So the iris is basically a circle, but it's covered up by those lids. So we're gonna make a circle over the top of that, real light, and another circle. Try to get it so that like the center is where it looks. You have to look at the photo and try to figure out like how much white space you want to see. On the right, there's a lot less there in the middle. but lightly drawing that whole circle over it kind of gives angles so that you don't just draw like that. You want it to be where you get like those full circle angles in there. So we're gonna okay. Every now and then I'm just kind of catching myself, like just looking at some of the other lines and trying to smooth them out a little bit and make sure I get them the way I want. When I get the angle the way I want it, or I like that line, I just go over a little bit more and darken it. Okay, now looking for the darkest part of his eye, which will usually be in the middle or wherever he's looking toward. I'm going to get the pupil. Put that in there. And then there's usually like a little white spot for the light. And on this photo, it's coming in from our left side. So I'm going to just kind of circle that little spot. And then I'm going to color in lightly everything but that circle. Just kind of shade it all in, except for that little circle that I've made where the light is. Okay, now we're going to start playing with this angle here to really define that nose. So from the eyebrow, we're going to make this curve down across the top of that ball of that nose. So just kind of draw down to there. Shade that a little bit. I think the one I did last night looks a lot more like him. This is not, like, it's kind of like difficult to describe what I'm doing as I'm going. Like, I think I made his ear a little too small and his eyes look a little funky, but we're just getting the placeholders in. You can see the shadows over here. Get the nose blocked in. And now down here around the bottom of the nose, we're going to shade in the nostril area. Try to get the shapes that you see. I think there's a curve, and then it curves down along the bottom of the nose there in the middle, and then comes back up. And then all of this area is all dark, you can see. It curves up along the ball of his nose and all along the nostril. And then there's a little shadow here, almost like a sort of a triangle. So I'm going to block that in. And then we got this. It's got a little mustache here. There's a shadow there. Now in the eyeball, the top is always, you have to kind of think about how that eyelid is creating a shadow across that iris. So it looks better, you get that in there a little bit, darken the top where there would be a shadow. The ear really should extend down to the bottom of the nose, so I kind of cut that short there. That looks better. Cut this in. So I'm hoping that you can see that, like, getting some of these lines in as placeholders. Now this is a good start for getting a portrait done. Now, you know, if we had another hour or two, probably another hour, we could really start getting this looking like this guy. But what you want to do is just start with basic shapes and then start filling in your shadows, but always start light and take the time to study what you're seeing. And you want to get some basic shapes in and some lines, but try to go light at first before you really start, you know, drawing them in, because especially if you're drawing a portrait of somebody that you know, and I have learned this many times the hard way, if you start drawing every line you see and you draw it all dark, the first thing that person will say is, wow, you made me look 50 years too old. Especially when you're drawing children, less lines is better. You want to try and not draw every little line and crease you see, unless you're really particularly trying to focus on that. But generally, it's less flattering to draw all of our lines. So if you look here, there's a lot of darkness. Even part of his eye there's a lot of shadow. So we're going to fill that in. And over here, there's a lot of darkness there. There's a big shadow here with a light spot on top where the light is hitting him from that angle and this angle. He's got lights coming from the top here, and then he's got lights coming in on this side that are reflecting on the eyes and the ear and the nose. So if you want to start to try and block in some of that, like I'll draw a little circle around that white spot there and then try to shadow around it a little bit. Get more shadow on this side here. And in between the eyes where this dips in, that's just that little dip toward the bridge of the nose. More shadow in there. And he's got this beard going on. And underneath his mouth, he's got that lip that kind of comes out, so you have this shadowing here. So there's all kinds of darkness in here. I'm getting a glare, so I can't really see it all that well, but there's a lot of shadowing and beard happening. One of my most favorite things to do while I'm sitting and watching television is I sit there and draw the portraits of the people that I'm watching. I have a lot of good portraits of athletes and people. Sometimes I'll just snap a picture of it real quick while I'm watching TV and I'll draw from that. But even if you're going to do something more abstract, it's a good place to start with at least getting the features generally right. And then you can kind of abstract it and play with it from there. You can start like exaggerating features and using different colors and all different sorts of things you can do. But at least if you know where the features are generally supposed to be, then you have more freedom to play with it instead of just drawing bad portraits, which this doesn't look awesome, but at least all the things are in the right place. So I think we're getting the last few minutes here. So I'm going to just kind of focus on the mouth for a minute. We're gonna really get this shadowing in. Got shadowing on the left to us anyway. The top of his lip got like a nice little shape here. And then there's that line. He's got this curve right down the middle. That's something else you can do to really freak people out at parties, is sit there and study the angles of their lips and their eyes and stuff. And you might not get invited next time, but you'll get better at seeing all these angles.
So Susan, as a novice like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I hear you keep saying is angles, angles, angles. That's all we're looking for, is shapes and angles.
Yes. Yes. So to break it down, like we started out with the circle, which is the top. Like I'm just going to draw over this. So like, here's your circle. And then we draw the middle line and then the other center line of where the nose is going to be focused. And then from there, it's angles. It's angles toward the nose. It's a circle. It's angles here, curves, this circle, then these are angles. And when you're looking at the biggest key is when you're looking at the photo that you're drawing, or the person, if you're drawing from life, you want to look and see like what angles are matched up with what. Like I do this a lot when I'm looking at someone or looking at the photo. I'll look, okay, that's like this angle. So then I go over here. Oh, okay, it's this direction. It's, you know, if I see this, then that should line up there. This chin here, like that's this angle. So I can see that that should be a little bit more like that. So you just want to keep measuring up your angles. Like the eye, it's this angle here. So there's like all those little tricks you can measure. Like if you want to measure, like, okay, this is like this far down. So then I got to judge how far that would be if I'm making it bigger. But you're always looking at the angles. What connects to what? Like the bottom of the ear matches up with the bottom of the nose. The inside of the eye matches up with the outside of the nose. See how all these things kind of line up. The middle of the eye matches up with the outside of the mouth. So we need to extend that there. Middle of the eye, like the pupil, matches up with the outside of the mouth. Does that help?
Yes, totally. Because I know we're going to be finishing up soon. Do you want to tell people where they can find you? I'm going to put it in an email, but do you want to also talk a little bit about private teachings or classes that you do?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some online courses privately and through the organization here at the Loft Artist, but also totally open to getting together with people online or in person. My website and everything is carsonartmusic.com because I do art and music. So it's Carson Art Music, and feel free to reach out, even if you just have a random question, like I don't understand how to sharpen the pencil the right way or something. I'm totally open to that. So whatever, if you have any questions or if you have any artwork you want done, or if you want lessons for your kids or anything, I'm here. So
awesome. I'm gonna put that all in the email. So we're gonna get a recording of this session, and then I'm gonna put your website on that people should go to and check out all your art. I mean, I know you have your cat over there. You said it wasn't finished, and I'm calling it. Like you have a lot of great, like show off your studio a little bit. There you go. You know, that's great. Does anybody have any questions before we go? Because I know we're wrapping up. I know we only did the beginning sessions of a portrait, as she was saying. So, but is there any questions that anybody has right now? or comments?
I thought it was very good because learning the perspective of how to start it was really important.
Good.
Yeah.
This is my 10th from last night.
Okay, very cool.
So,
No, it looks good.
so cool. Yeah. I mean, if anybody has any questions or suggestions, like if you think, we could do better next time, or you want to do it again or whatever, feel free to let me know.
Or even do a phase 2, right? I suppose, because we started with phase 1. Anybody who started this class, so if they do reach out, please let her know that you joined this class too. That way she'll know where you are and what you want to do. But any other comments or questions? Well, thank you, Susan.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, this was great.
Thanks
Thank
so
you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Very much for joining and volunteering your time and sharing your special gift. And she does do a lot of great music too, by the way. So check her out.
All right. CarsonArtMusic.com. Email me. Let me
All
see
right.
what you guys have done. I'd love to see your pictures.
Yes, I know. We know.
You don't want to
Nobody's
see mine.
I'd love to see what you did right, what you did wrong, or what you had questions about, or anything. So that'd be cool.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I do appreciate it. It was a great cause. And Susan, we can't thank you enough for participating in our Orion Gives Back. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.